Well, you talked about quick decisions. I think that a lot of people had Sven as their early MVP in the LCS. I know I certainly did. He still leads the league with a 15.5 KDA. He was almost breaking records early on in the season. As we take a look now at who we all picked as the LCS MVP, it is a Cloud9 sweep. Surprise, surprise, surprise. You know what else is a surprise, Tyler? That John Sun is not on this list.
Yeah. What happens then?
Someone's getting their hair done. Once the coronavirus social distancing is over, you have an appointment with Avali May.
Avali, yeah.
Yeah. I raised the white flag. That was a not a top 3 choice by me. That was a bad choice.
Yeah, you're gonna have to distance from that hair color of yours, that's for sure.
Oh.
So Sven is my pick, but we had different C9 picks there. And I guess look, it's going to be somebody from C9. That's clear. Far and away the best team there. But let me ask it to all of you this way. Which player, if you were to remove them from C9, would have the would that team miss the most?
Nisqy. Yeah.
So is that the answer then? Is that the answer then to
that's
how we determine the MVP of this particular split for this team?
As I said previously when I was talking about self-made, like that's my thing for MVP is like a look at value. And I know, I've been told that that's like the wrong answer, because if I'm looking at this and saying, is Nisqy objectively the best player in the NALCS? I would say no. But is he the most valuable to his team? I'd say yes. And watching Nisqy improve over the years from his days on Envy through his days on Splice, C9, and then C9 this year is like insane. It's just insane how much he's grown as a player. So that, first of all, has been awesome to watch. But second of all, he will play anything in the mid lane. And I think he's been really instrumental in developing Blabber and giving Blabber room to grow as a jungler without having to worry about that mid lane, constantly pushing back on him or the enemy mid laner roaming. Like Nisqy is typically first on the roam. And that's due to his synergy with Blabber. It also gives Blabber so much room to stand out and grow in his position without as much pressure from his opponents. And that's been instrumental for C9. So I think, like, of all players, what would change the most about this team is if you remove Nisqy.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, I didn't choose him as MVP in my prediction. I chose Finn also just because, like, the hot start to the season plus the consistent play of C9, I think, sort of pushes him through, and I think he will get the most votes if I'm predicting rather than picking my own opinion. But I think that overall, though, I would agree that Nisqy sort of is the glue that holds C9 together, as someone pointed out in chat. I think that's a correct statement, right? I think also the one thing about C9 that's been really interesting, to Emily's point, is they are the talent development team in North America, right? Like, Blabber is someone who came into the system from scouting grounds. Licorice is someone that was in this system prior to being on E United and then recruited back to C9 several years ago when Impact moved on to Team Liquid. So I think that when you look at this, like, even though they are, they do have people like Sven, who's been a veteran.
Yeah, Vulcan. That was something people yelled at them about.
Right. I mean, like, okay, I will say it. I've kept my mouth shut last week, but I just want to say, screw you, everyone who told me I was ridiculous for saying that the C9 team would get better under this. You
already have said that, haven't you?
No, but I was very soft last time, and people were like very upset. People were
I could have sworn you've already yelled at people for this.
Do you want a spotlight on you? Do you want a mic to drop?
I was nice about it previously, but I won't be nice, right? Like, people were mad at me because I said that Sven was going to be better than Sneaky. And let me tell you something about Finn and Vulcan. They are the best bot lane in North America by a country mile, and I think that says enough, right? And I think that they're integral, right? I think they're integral together. I think that the C9 team plays really well together. They mesh together. The chemistry is here, and that is something that did not exist on C9 last year, and it's something that clearly has improved this season.
Sven, to me, will get the headlines vote, because early in the season, we were focusing so much on Sven's ballooned KDA that I feel like that's still fresh in people's minds because he hasn't done anything to really dispel that all split.
You know who didn't lose their turret until late in the split, though?
Was
My boy
Niski,
Niski.
right? Exactly. So there's all these things to talk about, right? Like I feel like Sven and Niski might be 1 and 2 simply because of those two stories making so many headlines and being talked about so much by so many people. So, but Vulcan though, Tyler, I mean, can we make a case for somebody else other than Sven and Niski? What about Vulcan? Why not Vulcan?
If I was to talk about the glue of the team, I think it's definitely Niski and Vulcan. If you look at so many of the team fights that C9 win, it's because of Vulcan coming in with a Tom Kench eating Sven, saving Sven. He saved Sven so many times a split. I think the thing about Vulcan is he hasn't been able to play as many champions as you would like from an MVP candidate because he's had to play a lot of the Tom Kench, Leona, a lot of the basic picks, but I think Vulcan has been stellar. He's been so good throughout the split, whatever he's been put on. And even when C9 looks really stupid and they're doing crazy team fights they shouldn't be doing, Vulcan's there to save the day. But I think if it really comes down, I want to give Vulcan his due because he hasn't won Player of the Week yet, even though he should have about 3 times. I do think if there's one player you have to give it to is probably Niski. He does so much with so little. He gets so little gold that you're amazed by how much damage he does. He gets the least amount of gold of any solo laner in NA, Europe, or Korea after 15 minutes. He gets almost no gold because he does anything the team needs him to be. And he said this to me, and he said it, I believe, publicly in Cloud9 videos, is that he watched Doinby at Worlds, and he was like, I want to be this guy. I want to be like Doinby. I want to play the zany style where I support my teammates and do whatever it takes for them to win. And his dream is to play Doinby on the international stage. So if C9 keep it up, hopefully he gets his wish.
I think
like
the big thing
also...
here too is...
Oh no, go Jacob.
No, go ahead, because I wanted to talk a little bit more about Sven and sort of relative to the past. But yeah, go ahead with what you were saying.
I was just gonna say, I think that is really what has unlocked this. I feel like Niski has always been that type of player. He just maybe didn't know it yet. Not that he was like bad in the, because especially when we saw him on Splice, it was about like lane specific matchups, right? Because Europe pays a lot more attention to laning matchups, in my opinion, more so than any other region actually. But I think this year, if that is the case, and he just looked at Doinby and he's like, I can do this style, it's really unlocked like a new level for him, which is really cool to see.
Okay, before we move on to last thought, Jacob.
Yes, my last thought on C9 is I think that this is the perfect case of every single player having the right support system around them and being the perfect gel for each other. And I think that that's what stands out for them, right, is that we've seen talented players for a long time. And as for Sven, as our chat is talking about, this is the Sven redemption story, right? Like he got a lot of hate for being not so great on TSM, but we've seen him be really great on Origin and G2 in the past. And that was when people played around him, when he was considered this young superstar, the next big Reckless of EU, right? And people funneled into him. And I think that this team is to the point where all of them are okay with him getting the glory as long as they win games. And so, you know, we may I think Sven will win the LCS MVP, but I think that this team has positioned him to do so in every single way, whether that be Vulcan, Niski, Licorice, or Blabber.